Okay, hello everyone. My name is Laquan Williams, and today in this video, I'm going to be doing my review for the current episode of Dexter's New Blood, the revival series of the show Dexter, that obviously ended about 7-8 years ago in 2014. And they just recently brought it back, obviously, this year in 2021. But it's called New Blood, a revival series where it is continuing off where Dexter left off, obviously, in the 7-8 years since he's been gone. But obviously, he's now in a new town. He's under a new identity slash name. His new name is Jim Lindsay. He's working in a sporting goods slash hunting store in Iron Lake, upstate New York, where he obviously, like I said, is under the new name, living by himself, dating the police chief of the town. Her name's Angela. It's a small, obviously close knit town, but everybody really knows each other and they're all very close. So obviously, it's helped him keep a low profile, obviously, because people don't know who he is from Miami, Florida, obviously. But things have obviously changed in the last couple of weeks. Angela knows who Dexter obviously is now. His real name is now Jim Lindsay. She figured that out after Harrison told her his son Harrison, who he obviously is back with now after 10 years and missing, because he obviously moved around from foster care and his stepmother died. Obviously, we know his real mother was killed by the Trinity killer when he was just obviously a small baby. Obviously, now in this episode, it was revealed that he remembers it and whatnot. We're still continuing back off of where we left off the last couple of weeks, where Matt Caldwell is still being brought up, obviously, even though he's dead and Morton Dexter killed him. This is his father right here, Kurt, and now they're people in the town are on to him, and they know that he's obviously the killer who's been kidnapping and killing girls in Silver Lake for the past I would say it's been like about her friend went missing about 25 years ago. So he's been doing this for 25 years on and on. I guess he just kind of kills every now and then a couple of years, and he basically goes away, and he just keeps to himself because he is a very rich, powerful, and successful man. He owns a diner slash trekking stop, and he's a pillar of the community. People know who he is. He doesn't take any crap from anybody. He's a real hard ass, and obviously nobody would expect he'd be the one doing it, but the DNA evidence and the missing girl who is Angela, the police chief's best friend, Iris, the girl who went missing 25 years ago, her best friend was also a Native American slash indigenous person as well. They found his DNA in her mouth because she bit him. But see, here's the thing that obviously screwed this up in the case. Kurt Caldwell had his lawyers arguing himself that was not his DNA, it's his father's. But unfortunately, because his father's dead, they can't really ask or question him. And obviously, because seeing as how it's a match to him, besides that actual evidence, they have no other proof to show that he's obviously the killer. Obviously, who is kidnapping these girls and who obviously is being tortured and killing them and shooting them, obviously, along with Iris. So there is no reason for them to prove that. Besides that, there's no bullets, there's no casings there, and there's no any type of evidence about that. He has a cabin in the woods that he uses that's secluded, that he used to basically kidnap the girls that he takes from his truck stop, takes them there, and obviously his truck stop slash diner that he owns right here that him and Dexter are at. He took this girl, he takes them there, he kills them, and obviously tortures them. He doesn't let them leave until he sees otherwise. And like I said, Dexter and Angela went there. Angela told him obviously what happened. Dexter told Angela what happened. They went there. The whole place was completely empty. He took out the bathroom, the toilet, the bed, the door, everything, and he bleached everything down. They could smell it when they walked in there. So he got rid of any evidence that he has there. Any bodies of any girls that he has killed are it's obviously long gone. How this episode started was basically them figuring out, obviously, where he left off is Angela was in the cave. She found Iris's body with one of her her officers, Teddy. Teddy left. She called Dexter and said she needed Dexter's, obviously, help, not Jim Lindsay. Dexter Morgan, the forensic scientist expert. Dexter searched Iris's dead body, and he found some clues as to what happened to her, how she was tied up and while she was still alive in the cave after she was bleeding. Then obviously she asked Dexter to keep looking. He found what it looked like skin in her teeth. And that's where he said, obviously, Dexter said that it's possible that the skin of the person in her mouth is her attacker, and you might be able to find with this DNA forensic evidence, obviously, to prove who did it. She believes it's Kurt Caldwell, but Dexter obviously didn't want to admit that he obviously knew it was him until he obviously had his facts straight. So that's why the episode is called "Skin of Her Teeth," because his skin was in her teeth. His Kurt Caldwell's DNA slash skin was in Iris's teeth. It's been there for over 25 years because he killed her and buried her in that cave where nobody would ever obviously look to find her very deep, which is very smart because it was a long time ago, so they were lucky to find him. He said that obviously his dad used to go to truck stops, pick up girls who obviously were there and who were looking for rides. He would give them money for basically to sleep with him, and then he would beat them up. And while he was a little kid listening to his dad do this to women, he basically inherited that some type of trait on himself like that, where instead of him beating up these girls like his dad used to at the truck stop, he would kidnap them, beat them, and then torture them and kill them, and then obviously dump their bodies. So he said that it wasn't him and it's his dad. He knew his dad probably did this, but he hasn't said anything for 25 years. But he's lying because they obviously know it's him and it's not his father. So it all points back to him because remember he lied to Angela. He said that his son Matt is still alive, but they've proven that's been proven that that's false. They know he's lying. They went to the hotel where Matt was staying at, and they found his name under somebody who was working for him, which is an associate of his who he paid off to go under their alias, to go under the name of Matt and assume the alias of his son. But when Angela went there with Molly, who is the you can say investigative reporter, but she obviously runs her own podcast. She's been helping her out on the side as a liaison, or I guess you can say just a helping hand, obviously. Anyways, she's been helping her. They went there. They looked at the security footage from the hotel. They saw that the guy who was under Matt Caldwell's name, Kurt's son, right? Kurt's father, is right here. His son's name is Matt. They figured it out that he lied. They saw that the guy is obviously not him, so they know that he's lying about that. So they know he lied about obviously the situation with the Iris missing, and Angela asked him that when she was interrogating him. She said, we checked your computers, your phones. You didn't talk to Matt for days, and you lied and said you talked to him on FaceTime. Why would you lie about that? That wasn't really answered. So Angela knows that he's still lying about that. In the situation with Iris being missing and the rest of the girls, she was only able to question him about Iris, obviously, because his DNA was just found in her skin, but he was able to use the defense and the excuse that it's his father's because his father used to beat girls and obviously do the same thing similar to what he's doing, but he's obviously killing them at the truck stop / diner that he does. But his dad used to be a truck stop driver himself, which is kind of why he kind of decided to jump into this business of owning a truck stop and a diner as well. That's why you see right here it's called Caldwell Diner and / truck stop, where Dexter's son, Dexter right here, his son Harrison is working at now. We saw Harrison working there. Dexter's still not agreeing with him to do that because he knows Kurt's dangerous and he's a killer. He's still doing it against his wishes. They arrested him. Harrison saw it, and everybody in the diner saw it too. So we'll see what happens with that as it goes into the next episode. Because in the next week's episode, Harrison is still talking to Mac, and obviously, Harrison is talking to Kurt right here. And obviously he talked to him last week about before he gave him the job about his son and how he understands what his dad's going through and whatnot. But it's difficult, but yeah, so that's bad because Dexter told him he didn't want him near him, and Dexter's obviously going to have to tell Harrison you can't go back to obviously to work for him, but he's not listening. He still wants to do that, so it's looking like next week he does. Harrison ran into an issue with the kids at his rival high school because on the wrestling team he broke some kid's arm next week, so his teammates attacked him. He said, we told you we're going to get you, and so Harrison pulled out a pocket knife, switchblade, and he went after them and cut one of them on his jacket sleeve, and Dexter jumped out of nowhere and grabbed Harrison's arm, and all the high school wrestling team, all those guys ran away, obviously. And Harrison told Dexter, his father, to get off him. He said, I'm a freak. You know I am. Just admit it. And he said he remembers how his mom was killed by the Trinity Killer when he was a little kid, literally a baby, which is weird how he would remember that, obviously. But yeah, he got into a car with his friend and drove off. We saw at the end that Dexter was kidnapped and obviously hit with chloroform by one of the guy who was at the truck stop, who Harrison got a note from in a little brown sleeve, not brown sleeve, but like a beige brown little envelope, and it's a spring. And what Dexter found out, it's actually a metal spring that went into his Matt Caldwell, his legs, because he has pins in his legs from when he had surgery from that boat crash that he had years ago where he killed all those people and got away with it because his dad was able to right here. His father, Kurt Caldwell, had a lot of money, so he was able to get his son away with obviously going to jail because of that. Apparently, I don't know how he found out, but Kurt Caldwell found out where Dexter had the fire, where he obviously burned his son's obviously remains at. He found the spring there. He obviously was able to put two and two together, one and one together, or two and two, which is weird because when Dexter picked him up, obviously he was drunk at the bar. He said, "I didn't think that was snow actually on my jacket when you picked me up. It was actually ash from the fire where the furnace or the old refinery, or wherever, where he burned his son's remains." So Dexter knows that Kurt's onto him. He knows obviously that he killed his son. So that's obviously a bad thing. But obviously he can't prove it. Obviously, and the honest to God's truth is he really doesn't care about his son in the first place. He says his son was a screw up. He's always a drug addict and alcoholic, always doing stuff to bail him, to cause trouble. He always had to bail him out. And obviously the big huge issue was obviously him killing all those people on that boat crash ride incident years ago, and that's obviously how he was able to figure it out. How he went to that place after he figured that obviously, um, like I said, when Dexter picked him up, he said that he thought that it was snowing that was on my jacket, but it was ash and it was in the air. I saw it, so that's what he went to that place and he saw it, and then he figured out, and I guess he dug through the remains. I was able to look at the spring of obviously his son's from his son's ankles or arms, wherever he had the surgery at, and he was able to do that, to figure it out that Dexter killed his son. But he was drunk. I don't know how he was able to do that because Dexter drove him directly to his house. So that means he had to hop back in his car drunk, drive all the way back there and figure it out after he dug through the ashes of his son, who after Dexter burned his remains. But whatever, we'll see what happens with that. He's not going to police with that because he has no evidence or proof of that, because obviously it's just hearsay. He has to have hard core evidence to show the police that Dexter obviously killed his son. So that's what we always saw so far. And it's looking like the next person that Kurt is going to kidnap is Angela's adoptive daughter, who goes to school with Harrison, who he likes. I forgot her name. It's not Angela's her mom. I forgot her name. But anyways, he looked at her and it's looking like he's going to kidnap her and get revenge on her for him him exposing her, obviously. So he's going to kidnap obviously the police chief's adoptive daughter. So we'll see what happens with that. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens next week's episode. But he's really bold if he thinks if he really believes he can do that. But it's looking like he's actually going to do it. But he won't get away with it. This will obviously be the end of Kurt Caldwell, because obviously him deciding to go after now the police chief's daughter and kidnap her as a way to get back at her, obviously, for everything that he did, is very bad. Currently, right now, Dexter has been kidnapped by one of Kurt Caldwell's I guess you can say associates, who is a truck driver, obviously, and he is holding him ransom. And it's looking like in the next episode, Dexter obviously gets out of the trunk and escapes from him somehow, but he's hunting him in the woods, and looks like Dexter was kind of wounded on his arm and his leg. So we'll see what happens with that. That would be season 7 episode. Season 1 of Dexter New Blood, episode 8, which is going to take place next week. And also, what we did see in this for the preview for next week's episode is that Angela is going to be questioning one of the drug dealers that Dexter attacked a couple weeks ago with that needle at that liquor at the bar, and she's going to ask him about that. So she's looking into Dexter and obviously Kurt Caldwell as well. But I don't know how she can obviously do both, and if she's going to question Dexter about that. And what could he say? But obviously he can lie and deny all he wants, because there's no proof of that. Obviously he's going to say, I punched him, but I never stuck him with the needle. That's not true. When the police got there, they saw me. I was punching and kicking him. I didn't see him. I didn't use a needle on him. He could say that, but obviously that's not true. How do you know that he didn't use those needle marks are not from him himself? Because he's a drug dealer. And how do you know he didn't? Those aren't something that he obviously used. And he obviously created self-inflicting wounds by using a needle on himself. And why would you take my word over a drug dealer that led to Harrison overdosing? I assaulted him, but I didn't, and your fellow officers came and stopped me. Who obviously Dexter knows, the black police officer who was the wrestling coach at his son's high school, and Harrison is on the wrestling team, so he knows them as well. And he's been in that town for years, obviously. So he can use that to his advantage, but obviously he has to obviously keep a low profile, as well as to try to admit that, not admit anything, obviously try to keep himself safe, as he's trying to obviously keep a secret. So he doesn't have to admit to anything. And by the way, once obviously once Angela tries to confront Dexter, I think it's going to be obviously too late. And she's going to figure out that not Jim Lindsay, that's what Dexter's name is in the town that he obviously is going under. It's a fake name. He's not that name. Not she's going to figure out that Kurt Caldwell kidnapped her daughter, her stepdaughter. Excuse me. That's what's going to happen. So once I think that's what's going to happen. Angela's going to confront Dexter, and then once that obviously takes place, she's going to figure out that obviously her stepdaughter is missing, and she's going to look at Kurt Caldwell as the prime suspect. So Dexter will be off the hook, obviously, with that. What will happen possibly anyways is once obviously she comes to confront Dexter, he's probably going to what she can use as an excuse. He can say, I got attacked by one of Kurt's guys and I just barely made it out alive. That's gonna be the excuse Dexter's gonna be able to use, and she's probably gonna come at him and say what happened, and he said that he knocked me out at at the truck stop and kidnapped me, and he said he wanted me to basically, obviously, give up information about your investigation. He's trying to threaten me and my son and everything. Dexter obviously can lie to Angela about that. And then obviously, I think what's going to happen is in next week's episode, she's going to figure out that her adoptive daughter is missing, and that's going to keep Dexter off the hook permanently, because now the hunt's going to be on looking and searching to figure out where she's at, and obviously where Kurt Caldwell is with her, and if she's alive. That's going to keep Dexter out of trouble, which is obviously what he wants. And I don't know how it's going to work in his favor as far as like him trying to get to Kurt first before they do, or is he going to stay back and let them take care of it? I don't know how it's going to work, but it does keep him out of trouble. So I don't know how that would factor into the end of the season, the next episode, which more than likely Kurt will probably kidnap her towards the end of the episode, and then Dexter will be confronted by Angela in the ninth episode, and then that's obviously where the explanation is going to be of basically she's going to ask Dexter what happened to him, and then obviously she's going to figure out and find out immediately and instantly, and that her adoptive daughter, has gone missing, and now they're going to look into Kurt, so where he's hiding her, where obviously he's taking her, and if she's dead. So that probably would give Dexter probably a chance to figure and find. But the thing is, if he finds them first, obviously, he obviously won't be able to get away with him taking Kurt out, obviously, in self-defense, because he can't get there before the police do. If that happens, obviously, he would have to do it very sneaky. He'd have to be very sneaky, very conniving, which he obviously is, but how that's going to work, I don't know. If Harrison would jump in somehow and probably get involved and try to spring to her aid and protect her because he likes her and try to save her, I have no idea, but we'll see what happens with that. Because the situation with Dexter attacking a drug dealer about Harrison, Angela is going to come at him with, you stuck him with a needle, and he can obviously deny that. He can admit to, yes, I punched him, and that's why I was arrested by your fellow officers, who obviously know the wrestling coach to my son, obviously, like I said, the black officer. But the whole him sticking him with the needle in the arm, Dexter will obviously she can't search him. He's not a primary suspect, and there was no crime committed. And obviously, the guy is a drug dealer, for crying out loud. His partner was killed, and she could try to link that to Dexter, but there's no proof or no evidence of that. And obviously, Dexter can say, well, let's see, my son overdosed on drugs. I punched this guy. His drug dealer friend's dead. That's got nothing to do with me. Why are you questioning me about this? Then obviously, that's when I see what's going to happen. That's why I said, obviously, what's going to happen next is obviously Angela's going to find, Angela's going to find out her adoptive daughter's missing. That's basically what's going to happen. So Harrison, he might try to save her and spring into action, or Dexter will probably try to prevent him do that and end up probably taking Kurt Caldwell out himself, obviously. I don't know. We'll see what happens. It'll be very interesting to see what continues to take place on the show in the upcoming weeks. Obviously, there's a couple more episodes left. There's only 10 episodes for this revival series, so we'll see what happens with that. But it's been very fun so far. This week is even I was great. It's getting even better, and obviously it was very interesting to see that obviously now that they know who Kurt is, so they know obviously to keep their eye on him. But now that his cabin in the woods has been compromised, where is he going to go next? Because he has multiple other properties that they don't know about. Because Angela said, I've been living in this town for years. I never knew he had this place, which obviously is no surprise because it's a secluded cabin in the woods. he's got money, so he probably could have paid for somebody off the books and paid money under the table to have that obviously kept it hidden out of property records online for anybody to find at all, or even hard copies. That's why she didn't even know about it in the first place, but Dexter did. If it wasn't for Dexter following Molly, who almost got killed, and she obviously looked at her, she looked at Kurt Caldwell and obviously interviewed him and kind of was questioning him. And Molly hurt Dexter obviously because she said, "Yeah, Jim Lindsay showed up, but he obviously was he was acting very weird, and I didn't believe his story. And if he was not my boyfriend, if you were hit, I would look into him if I were you." So that obviously is leading to what we see in the next episode, which is obviously Angela looking into Dexter a little bit more, somehow asking about that guy who was punched by him a couple of weeks ago, the drug dealer, obviously, who's not the supplier who Dexter killed. He killed the supplier, not the not the drug dealer. So obviously he's still alive, but he was trying to take him out too. But obviously, like I said a couple weeks ago, Dexter punched him, kicked him, and then he stuck him with the needle. But before, and then the cops got there before he was able to grab him and take him in his car. So when the needle didn't work so quickly, he grabbed it out of his hand, punched and kicked him, and then obviously the police officers came and apprehended Dexter and took him into the police station, got his statement, and he didn't get arrested. He got let go, but they didn't look at that as a bad thing. And this guy's not arrested somehow, so I don't know how that works out, but it won't be enough evidence for Angela to go after Dexter. Like I said, once the news comes out that her adopted daughter is missing, all hands will be on deck for Kurt Caldwell, because he will be the primary suspect, and that's basically what's going to happen. That'll be it for my video review for this week's episode of Dexter, which is season 1, episode 7, titled "Skin of Her Teeth," and that'll be the end of it for me. Thanks for watching my video. Let me know what you have to think about the show if you have been watching it, or if you haven't been. And if you want to check it out, are you interested in it? Or if you're not, because you probably don't want to look at it, rewatch, because there's too many new characters for you, even though it's still fun. I know it's not the same, obviously, because Dexter's not in Miami anymore. Now he's in upstate New York, so it's cold, very obviously. So it's basically Dexter mixed in with Fargo, basically a mystery, but obviously a lot of suspense and fun at the same time. And Fargo was actually mentioned on the show a couple episodes ago by his sister, Deborah Morgan, who he sees and talks to, because she's still obviously a dead, and she talks to him in her ghost / spirit form, basically every episode. That's basically it. She talks to him like his guilty conscience, and obviously she holds him accountable. Yeah, obviously that's basically it. Well, that's the end of my video. Thank you again for watching. That's all I have to say about Dexter Morgan. The new revival series titled Dexter New Blood. And this is the season 1, episode 7 review. The title of the episode is called "Skin of Her Teeth." I'll be back on next week with season 1, episode 8, and that'll be it. Thank you. Bye.